Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Yankees make a pretty significant trade. They acquired Devin Williams, the closer from the Milwaukee Brewers, in exchange for Nestor Cortes and Caleb Durbin. So Devin Williams and Nestor Cortes are both free agents after this upcoming season. So after the 2025 season, they'll both be free agents. And you kind of knew that Nestor Cortes, I had been saying it, there was a good chance that he was going to be traded. Now, I kind of thought maybe in the way of lineup help, but it comes in the form of Devin Williams. So Devin Williams has definitely been one of the best relievers in baseball for the last 4 or 5 seasons. Really, ever since he came up with Milwaukee, he's been excellent. He has a great changeup, and he was the setup man for Josh Hader for a bit of time, 2020, 2021. And I believe Hader was traded in the middle of the 2022 season, and Williams, has really been one of the best closers. The numbers speak for themselves. I mean, in just over 235 innings in his major league career, 375 strikeouts with a 157 opposing batting average, a 1.02 whip. Just filthy, insane numbers. And he really, truly is one of the best closers in the league. Now, it's interesting. In the case of Williams and Cortes, 2 of the most memorable home runs of the postseason were against them. So Devin Williams allows a very, very important and not good for Milwaukee home run to Pete Alonso in the 9th inning of a series deciding, a best of 3. It was the 3rd game, deciding game of that series. Milwaukee would have advanced to the NLDS and would have taken on the Phillies, but instead it was the Mets. And so Devin Williams, that was a really, really big moment. And I think it's worth mentioning just because, look, that was a huge spot. And, ideally he's going to be in many big spots with the Yankees. Now, obviously, his effectiveness as a reliever and as a closer is such that he was in many, many high leverage key situations. So we can just say, hey, that was a one-off, but still, like, that was probably, in thinking about Milwaukee's playoff history, that was probably the biggest situation that he had been in, if I had to say. And I can say that with pretty good certainty. So when I saw the Yankees got him, I'm not going to lie, one of the first things I thought of was that Alonso home run. So maybe it's unfair, but I just think that if the Yankees do make it to the playoffs, at least for me, it's a matter of, hey, is that going to be anything that's a concern? Could he be someone that just somehow doesn't get the job done in the playoffs? But that's further down the line, a really, really strong acquisition. And what it does is it moves Luke Weaver more into the role that he had been before they demoted Clay Holmes. So Weaver would be more 7th, 8th inning, bring him in any situation. But maybe there are, and here's the good thing. Because Weaver is clearly comfortable pitching the 9th inning, maybe there will be very rare situations. Because I have to imagine, let me see if I can quickly see here, because Williams has that great changeup, typically meaning that you're better against lefties, although I'm sure Williams is good against both sides. Let's see 2024. And he was hurt for the first 3 to 4 months of the season, so the sample size isn't large. But in looking at it, he was good against lefties and righties. I would say it looks like he was a little bit better against lefties. The point that I'm trying to make here is that maybe if there's a lane in the 8th inning that's more lefty heavy, maybe you can go Devin Williams and then get Luke Weaver versus the righty lane in the 9th inning. The point is it gives you options, and that's a pretty dynamic 1-2 punch if Luke Weaver is going to be able to do what he did this past season. So the bullpen's now really rounding into form. You don't really need to do a whole lot more with it. And it's interesting how that changed pretty quickly, because I include Jonathan Loáisiga and the Yankees re-signing him as part of that. So that's kind of like the big 3 as I see it: Williams, Weaver, and Loáisiga, with other really decent pieces as well. Whether it be, a Mark Leiter Jr., and Ian Hamilton, a Jake Cousins, and many more. But maybe Clayton Beater, he makes an impact. But I think now the only thing with the bullpen is from the left side. I'd be surprised at this point. To me, Tommy Kahnle at this point, it'd be surprising with this acquisition. I just wouldn't, because they like to have diversity. And again, Devin Williams being that change-up heavy reliever, that's Tommy Kahnle's thing. So I don't know if the fit is going to happen here, but we'll talk about it if and when Kahnle signs elsewhere or with the Yanks. But the lefties in the pen, that's going to be whether it be one or two. I think Tim Hill makes a lot of sense to bring him back. And I just have a feeling that they will. It seems like there'd be mutual interest. Still nothing on that front. But even beyond Tim Hill, though, a lefty with a little more velocity, I think could be good too. So that's kind of the one piece of the bullpen that I think that they will want to fortify is a southpaw. But definitely they're looking like they're in a pretty solid spot. And here's the thing too, like they're able to develop relievers in very unknown areas. That's been a specialty of Matt Blake and company. So I'm not looking for a whole lot more from the pen and the pitching in general. So that leads me to Nestor Cortes. Nestor Cortes, really, as I want to talk about him as a Yank, give him a lot of credit for what he's done to this point. Really very unexpected, where he comes up through the Yankee system, but ends up on the Orioles. I think it was via Rule 5? Let me see if I can find that real quick. It's not that important. No, I don't know. It might not have been. I'm not 100% sure. Either way, he ends up he does go through the Yankee system, but ends up being claimed by the Orioles. And again, maybe it was via Rule 5, but doesn't have much success there. Lands back on the Yankees. Essentially, Nestor Cortes, in essence, ends up having like 3 different stints with the Yankees. And stint 2, which was 2019, but his first major league appearance with the Yankees. Actually, the numbers end up bad. But he actually had he was okay to start. He was in this role where they would have Chad Green as an opener, and Nestor Cortes would come in like the second and third inning, and he was effective for a while, and then the wheels kind of fell off completely. And he was giving up a shit ton of homers. And so he ends up on the Mariners in that 2020 shortened COVID season. And that was the situation when the Yankees traded him for future considerations to Seattle. It doesn't work out there with the Mariners, and Cortes, before the 2021 season, signs a minor league deal back with the Yanks. And 2021, he starts out in Scranton, but he works his way up, and he was there to stay at that point. He comes up. They start him out of the pen, but then he moves into the rotation, and he never left. He was so good down the stretch in 2021, and then 2022 was really his like crown jewel season, where he goes 12-4 with a 2.44 ERA, 163 strikeouts and 158 innings. He really did carry over what he had done in the couple months as a starter in 2021. It was awesome. And it's too bad because in the playoffs in 22, he really did play a big role on, I believe it was short rest, Game 5 against Cleveland, that 2-2 series, winner moves to the CS. Nestor really does. I was at the game. Nestor really came through. I want to say he pitched. I want to get the stat line there. I want to say that was a 5-inning appearance for Cortes. Yes, it was a 5-inning, 3-hit, 1-run performance. He was not overly dominant, but they needed him and he came through. Unfortunately, his season ends against the Astros in the game that they got swept. It was the 4th game, and he left like via injury, and it was after I think he allowed a big home run to Jeremy Pena. So he did kind of run out of gas at that point. But Cortes, then injuries become a problem in 23. In effect, in this end injuries, he only starts 12 games. Not a great year. But I'll say this about Nestor, even at his worst recently, it was never that bad. And, sure, the strikeout rate did dip a little bit this season, but, he ended off strong, notwithstanding the Freddie Freeman Grand Slam, which is a situation he should have never been put in. And he was coming like he had been hurt. Nestor had kind of an up and down 2024, and trading him does make sense. I do think that we've seen the best of Nestor, right? The Nestor that we saw a few years ago, I don't think you're going to see that again, but this is someone that can still be a very effective starter. Um, Still is really relatively young. What, he's 30 years old, like got a lot of good years left him, I think. So he kind of mixes and matches. He was fun. I mean, Nasty Nestor was definitely there was a time where that was a really big thing, but that time is gone now. And it did make sense for the Yankees to trade him. And so now he's in Milwaukee. And I'm sure he kind of knew the writing was someone on the wall. And so he's with the Brewers. And then Caleb Durbin, who was kind of the flavor of the month, the last, I guess, few months in Yankee land, where Brian Cashman and the rest of the organization were really talking him up as maybe being a second base option to start the season. And that doesn't come to fruition. He is traded to Milwaukee. Pretty impressive numbers for him. The Yankees got him a couple years ago in a Lucas Licky, very random Lucas Licky Atlanta Braves offseason trade. And Durbin is 24, 25, I think. Right-handed hitter, undersized, but really very good bat to ball skills, great walk to strikeout ratio. Doesn't have a whole lot of pop, but has versatility for where he plays. I don't know. I mean, he's more of a high floor guy than a high ceiling guy, but I think Caleb Durbin, maybe he does, like, honestly, I don't think he's an insignificant part to this deal. I think that, he is someone that the Brewers see can help them. So obviously Devin Williams is the name here. Devin Williams is one of the best closers, but again, you're getting a good starter, Nestor Cortes, if he's healthy. And then Durbin is kind of the one guy here that, presumably you got team control of Caleb Durbin if he is good, right? Because there's a good chance that Devin Williams and Nestor Cortes come 2026 are not on the Yankees or Brewers, right? So we'll see, but definitely an interesting trade. Definitely helps the Yankee bullpen. And now the Yankees starting rotation becomes a little more clear. And I still think that another move is made here. Marcus Stroman is probably on the outs. I would have to think that's the case. What I'll say to finish up, Kyle Tucker was traded to the Cubs from the Astros. And there was some talk between the Astros and Yankees on Kyle Tucker. I'm not surprised that he's not a Yankee. I wouldn't have expected the Astros Yankees to make a trade, but it's good that Kyle Tucker is away from Houston and now in the National League for now. Tucker will be a free agent next offseason, and I think the Yankees will be very interested in him, and they should be. But there was talk that Luis Gil was kind of the one that the Astros wanted, and apparently, according to reports, Yankees didn't want to trade him away. So that does tell me that Gil, I think that there's a very, just with the things that, we're hearing, I think Gil is very likely to be in this rotation. And so now to me, the only one that's kind of at risk would maybe be Clark Schmidt. Maybe. In the right deal. Because again, I think the Yankees are looking for offense. And not to say they wouldn't trade Luis Gil, but if you're not going to trade him for Kyle Tucker, I know it's only 1 year of Tucker, I'm hard-pressed to think you're going to trade him in really any deal. So Schmidt would be the one that's kind of a wild card. And so I think chances are your 5 starters will be Cole, Fried, Rodon, Gil, and Schmidt. But, and again, Stroman, I don't think Stroman will be here, but you can also never have enough starters. But it just would feel weird for Stroman to come in as the number 6 is just not a good use of money. And I just think, he is someone that I don't think he'll be happy with that, even though he was a good soldier and really said all the right things. Knowing Marcus Stroman, I don't think he'll want that. So we'll see. But I think that now with Cortes out, things are becoming more clear as far as the rotation. And the thing is, there's still a lot more moves to be made because we don't really know much on the lineup side. They still need to get a first baseman. They still need to get a second base or a third baseman. And then Jazz Chisholm will be on the other spot. And then you need one outfielder, assuming that Dominguez is in play for one of those spots. So you're looking at really at least 3 offensive starters that are coming into play. I think that Cody Bellinger, to me, that does make a lot of sense from the Cubs. I really feel as if that might happen at some point. And I would be in favor of that. He can play first base or he can play outfield, either one, and can do a good job of it. So again, that one seems like a good fit for a lot. If they can, I think it's a bit of a money issue. That's the problem right now. because, Bellinger is owed a lot of money the next couple of seasons. And so the Cubs, Yankees want the Cubs to pick up some of that money. And so that, I think, is the bigger concern more than who the Yankees would be trading the Cubs. I think it's a contractual issue. So we'll see. But yeah, excited to see what else is to come here, because I think those are going to be the ones that really shape this team. The pitching looks good, but that lineup to me right now is nowhere near complete, and really needs a lot of help. So I think that whether it's via free agency or trades, I think that the Yankees are going to be very active, and hopefully sooner than later. So again, Yankees and Brewers make a pretty big trade. It is Nestor Cortes and Caleb Durbin going to the Brewers, and coming to the Yankees is one of the best closers in the game. And Devin Williams is going to be in the Bronx, and excited to see what he will bring to the table in a revamped looking bullpen. And just the idea of Devin Williams and Luke Lever at the back end is really going to be very beneficial for the Yankees.